From here, we're going to see relationships being affected because of low libido as well. So, and again, unfortunately, a lot of couples struggle with this because if someone is feeling uncomfortable or they're having significant pain, it can be very difficult to do all the little things that's needed to really facilitate and sustain that relationship. Going out on the dates, being able to hold someone's hand, or going for a walk. And in fact, for a lot of people, the libido also can change because their hormones are being disrupted by this chronic pain process. So the brain literally just can't get the person excited enough to be able to be intimate with their partner because they're experiencing chronic pain. Focus and concentration is absolutely another huge thing when it comes to people dealing with chronic pain, is that when that brain is firing in all of these different areas, and parts of the brain that are dedicated to focus and concentration and working on specific tasks now are processing pain information, it could be very difficult. So it's much like looking at this screen right here where your brain is flashing from this thing to that thing and this thing to that thing, and you start missing important details, balancing your checkbook, being able to do the tasks at your job, forgetting to pick your kids up at practice because your brain is so distracted because the pain that you're experiencing are all huge impacts on what's going on for you within your life. And depression. Depression is one of the most common effects that also go with pain. As people are having more pain, their relationships start changing, they start having more family stress, they start having financial and job stress, and they get to a point where they just feel like there's nothing else that they can do anymore. And to be honest, there's quite a few of our patients who get to a point where they are having thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore because the pain levels are so bad. And as much as I love working with my patients, it's very sad to see how many chronic pain patients are getting to this place where they might believe that they don't want to be here anymore because the pain is that severe. So we can see altered hormone levels, cortisol levels go up, and all of these impacts just start building and building and building on top of each other. So this is why my mission is to be able to help people find relief from pain, because it changes everything and it changes every aspect of your life. And when people get to that point where they're thinking about not being here anymore because their pain is that bad, there's a lot of things that we need to do to help people in that experience. So how do we help people find a place of power? And this is where the pain science education is really changing things for us. The more we can educate patients, the more we can help you understand what's really going on within that brain, and we can let you see that it's very possible that the pain that you're experiencing is just potentially some rewiring issues. We can take you from that character-altered, debilitating state and help you transition into getting your life back, building your relationships, being able to go back to work and contribute the way that you want to work. So the current pain model is still functioning off of René Descartes. And so it really is important to understand that for the last 350 years, the model of pain is not necessarily how things are actually working. So this idea of how pain worked was this gentleman who was a tremendous philosopher, thinker, and an anatomist. He concluded that when there's some kind of a stimulation to your foot or arm or whatever, you step on something sharp or something cuts your skin, that there's these tubes that send information to your brain, that there's these pathways that it says pain, pain, pain. So we've been taught that pain is a bottom-up method, or that's how it works, is that I have something happen and then it tells my brain that I'm in pain. And the truth is that's just actually not how pain works whatsoever. And what we're going to cover next are some of the falsehoods that have come about, all because we just are now really understanding the brain with all of the new science and the pain science that's been coming out. So the most advanced, newest research that's coming out right now is literally taking us from a world is flat to a world is round shift, and it's changing how we have to educate people about pain so they can understand what's really going on. So the first thing that we need to talk about is that just because a person is experiencing pain, they're going to have significant tissue damage. And what the research is proving right now is that that is just absolutely false. We are led to believe that tissue damage equals pain level. And the greater the tissue damage, the more pain I'm going to experience. And this is absolutely not true. The next false narrative that has been taught to us over all of these years as healthcare providers and then passed on to the general public is that all pain is caused by injury to the tissue itself, that you have to have some kind of a lesion or a tear or a break to some of your tissue somewhere to be able to have pain, and that also is totally false. The other thing that happens is that if people have pain, they believe that the tissues are not healing and that are not growing back together. And this is another falsehood. What we're learning about chronic pain patients is that oftentimes, almost always, their tissues have actually completely repaired and they've knitted back together and they've grown back together, and now the tissues are kind of remodeling and adapting to the movement, but there's not any actual tissue damage going on anymore. The injury has been repaired, but we are led to believe that if I'm in pain, the tissue is not healing, and that again is another falsehood that we need to change. The other thing that happens is that there's this belief that there's a disconnect between the mind and the body. Our Western medicine system, as great as it is when we have an acute illness or a trauma, it truly is horrific in regards to treating and addressing chronic pain. And what our medicine system has done is that it has separated all of the parts in the body, and even more so, it's made people to believe that the mind and the body are two different entities. And what we now know more than ever is that the brain and the body are completely linked and connected together. As a result of the newest imaging and looking at the brain when people are experiencing any kind of perceived trauma, is that we know that the mind and the body are completely linked together, and the brain is more active than what we could ever imagine. So it's important to understand that that division of mind and body is not true either. So that's moving us to one of my favorite analogies is we've gone from a world is flat to a world is round. We're living in this time period where the science has proven conclusively that all of these ideas that we've had about pain for the last 350 to 400 years are just not accurate. So we're living in that time period right now where science has said, hey, guess what? The earth really is round, but a large percentage of the population still really believes that the earth is flat. And so right now, the pain science world has had this information for the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years, and it's just now really making its way into the hands of us as the therapists and the doctors and the medical professionals. And what's happening right now is that it's exploding all over the world. We're getting so much amazing content and education that's coming out from these wonderful scientists, all of these men and women that are helping us understand and update our narrative about how pain and the body work.